The 90 Day Fiancé franchise, including spin-offs like 90 Day Fiancé Before the 90 Days and 90 Day Fiancé The Other Way, is filled with drama and awkward situations. Usually, the most memorable moments are during the couple's proposals, so we're here to show the most awkward ones we've witnessed. 90 Day Fiancé The Other Way stars Corey and Evelyn had a rocky relationship from the beginning, with Corey finding out about Evelyn's secret past romances from a friend, and Corey's culture shock moving to Evelyn's hometown in Ecuador. Their relationship became strained early on, but things got especially tense when Corey asked Evelyn to marry him. He popped the question after a romantic hot air balloon ride, but Evelyn didn't seem happy with the proposal.
Are you seriously doing this?
I had to at least try, because this is truly what I want to do.
Yeah, that probably wasn't the reaction he was expecting.
I mean, that's a big question.
Finally, Evelyn said yes, but she later explained to the cameras what this meant to her. She said, "Just because I say yes to the engagement doesn't mean that I'm completely ready to say yes to a wedding right away." Steven and Olga met when she was visiting the United States from Russia, but their fling soon turned into so much more when Olga found out she was pregnant. Soon after, Steven visited Olga in Russia. This 90 Day Fiancé Season 6 couple endured plenty of tense moments, including Steven criticizing Olga for not being excited to see him in the weeks after giving birth, and an argument over Steven potentially spreading germs to the baby. In fact, it was after one such tense moment that Steven decided to propose. On one of Steven's last days in Russia, he admitted to Olga that he didn't apply for her visa when he said he would. He even said that if he'd applied when he was supposed to, Olga would have been able to be in the US a month earlier. It was an awkward moment, but Steven made it even weirder when he abruptly took out a ring and proposed.
That being said, will you marry me? Will you? Is it yes?
The proposal was simple, but it seemed like Steven only wanted to distract Olga from the fact that he lied. Devin and Jaehoon seemed so in love when they first appeared in Season 1 of 90 Day Fiancé The Other Way. They both appeared genuinely happy about Devin's pregnancy as well, despite drama surrounding Devin's older child, Drusilla, and concerns about Jaehoon's conservative parents. So with Devin making plans to move to South Korea to be with Jaehoon, there was only one thing left for Jaehoon to do: propose. While Jaehoon had the right idea when it came to the proposal, putting a ring in a glass of ginger ale for a pregnant Devin, his execution of the event left room for improvement. When Devin couldn't get her new ring out of the glass, Jaehoon chugged the ginger ale, and they knocked over other glasses in the process. Devin, of course, said yes to Jaehoon, and it ended up being a sweet moment, though still pretty awkward. Unfortunately, things wouldn't work out for the pair.
We will be happy.
Darcy and Jesse may have had one of the most dramatic relationships in the history of 90 Day Fiancé. Between their dramatic fight over how to cut a steak, an argument about throwing shoes, and a memorable disagreement during which Jesse suggested that Darcy drank too much, they filled Seasons 1 and 2 of 90 Day Fiancé Before the 90 Days with lots of arguments and plenty of drama. So it's probably a good thing the two never got engaged, even though Jesse did sort of propose. At the end of Season 1, Jesse took Darcy inside a beautiful Dutch windmill.
You are more incredible, and you've shown vulnerability. So baby, I got a little surprise for you.
He then got down on one knee. This could have been a perfect proposal, but the Dutch hunk didn't end up asking Darcy to marry him. Instead, he gave her a promise ring.
This is not an engagement ring.
Baby. What?
Later, after the two broke up, that same ring sparked drama on social media when rumors spread that Darcy was selling it, even though she denied them. It was an awkward semi-proposal and an awkward breakup. Tim and Jennifer appeared in 90 Day Fiancé Before the 90 Days. Jennifer was a beautiful Colombian model, and stylish Tim struggled to impress her. Jennifer unfortunately wasn't too happy with Tim's grooming habits.
He might be gay, I don't know.
And while Tim tried to make Jennifer happy, she was severely disappointed with the promise ring he gave her. At first, Jennifer loved the ring, but that changed when she asked where Tim got it. Tim said, "Well, that's a long story. I feel like there's something I should probably tell you just so you don't find out in the future." He then proceeded to tell her that he actually got the ring for his ex, Veronica, and that she gave it back to him recently. Clearly, Jennifer was not pleased.
You're giving me a ring of your ex?
There are so many wonderful places to propose to a boyfriend or girlfriend. One could propose on the beach or at a fancy restaurant. Even proposing at home can be romantic. But when 90 Day Fiancé Season 7 star Sasha proposed to Emily, he chose a particularly unconventional location, in an elevator. English teacher Emily met her personal trainer Beau when she moved to Russia for a teaching job. Despite the language barrier between the two, Emily and Sasha hit it off right away.
One day, we had gotten takeout for dinner. We were in the elevator, and he just looked at me and he said, "Emily, I want you to be my wife."
Nothing says romance quite like small, confined spaces and carrying heavy takeout bags back to your apartment, right? And the fact that he didn't ask her to marry him, but rather stated a fact, made it even less romantic. With 90 Day Fiancé couples living in different countries, often on the other side of the world, it's no wonder that many of these couples either met online or kept in contact with the help of the internet. One couple from Season 7, Marcel and Anna, met online. Anna explained that Marcel added her as a friend on Facebook before they fell in love. While meeting online may be common, even the best online daters probably have to admit that proposing marriage should be done in person. But that's not how Marcel did it.
And then showed me this ring that he got me and asked if I'd marry him, and I said yes.
While Anna and Marcel seemed to have a lot in common, and they did end up getting married by the end of the season, it was an unforgettably awkward way to propose. Paul and Karini had an awkward courtship in Season 1 of 90 Day Fiancé before the 90 days, mostly because they didn't speak the same language. They often communicated through their phones' translation apps. There were also issues involving Paul not trusting Karini, but in the end, they decided that they wanted to be together. So Paul proposed to Karini on the beach. There was just one problem. The proposal was super awkward. During the proposal, Paul laid out a large chain in the shape of a heart and spelled out, "Karini, will you marry me?" in English in the sand. But of course, Karini couldn't read English, so she had to look up the translation online. That took a long time. And even after the translation was finished, Karini didn't respond right away. When she did, she first said no. Apparently, her rejection was a joke, and she said yes soon after. Still, even her acceptance wasn't enough to salvage this strange proposal. Ricky and Jimena from 90 Day Fiancé before the 90 Days Season 2 had a strange start to their relationship. In fact, they didn't even start out together. When Ricky first traveled to Colombia, he was there to see a woman named Melissa. But when things didn't work out with Melissa, Ricky reached out to another woman he'd been chatting with online, Jimena. And while Ricky and Jimena seemed like a much better match than Ricky and Melissa, the ghost of his ex seemed to follow the couple around, even during Ricky and Jimena's proposal. Ricky even proposed to Jimena with the ring he bought for Melissa. He started by saying, "You, for me, are a marvelous person." Ricky also brought up his ex during the proposal.
There was a reason why I said about Melissa. Porque si tengo una vida contigo, te tengo que decir todo, right?
He eventually did ask Jimena to marry him.
And I want to ask you, do you want to be my wife?
It was an awkward start to an engagement, but it apparently worked for Jimena since she said yes. Unfortunately, their relationship wasn't meant to last though. The 90 Day Fiancé franchise is filled with fast engagements. Most of the couples featured have just 3 months together to plan a wedding and get married. Talk about fast-tracking a relationship. But what about fast-tracking the dating stage? When Season 7 star Robert described how he proposed to Dominican Republic beauty Annie, he admitted that they spent a remarkably small amount of time together before he proposed without a ring. Robert explained that he was on a cruise and had just 1 day in the Dominican Republic.
Annie and I only spent 8 hours together.
but it was the best 8 hours in my life.
The proposal brought up a lot of questions. For example, if Robert was so in love, why not ditch the cruise and spend more time with Annie? And also, why would anyone agree to marry someone they'd only spent 8 hours with? Unfortunately, the cameras weren't filming when Robert popped the question, so 90 Day Fiancé fans won't get to witness this particularly strange 90 Day Fiancé proposal. While plenty of 90 Day Fiancé proposals are awkward and may even feel forced, Zied's proposal to Rebecca in Season 3 of 90 Day Fiancé before the 90 days was actually rather romantic. The proposal happened in the Sahara Desert at sunset over a picnic of chocolates surrounded by candles. Rebecca said yes to Zied, and they sealed it with a kiss. But then Rebecca ruined it when she started asking where Zied got the money for the ring. She said, "I just hope buying this didn't cause you any problems because you're not working right now." Zied tried to defend himself, pointing out that he didn't use the money he borrowed from Rebecca to buy the ring and had instead got the money from his sister. But the moment was ruined nonetheless. There's nothing that kills romance quite like reminding each other about money troubles, after all. Rebecca appeared to realize her mistake.
I feel bad for ever saying anything negative.
That uncomfortable smile says it all. Fortunately though, these two are still going strong, so maybe the gorgeous scenery did help set the tone for their marriage. In Season 2 of 90 Day Fiancé, before the 90 days, Angela went to Nigeria to meet Michael. Despite Angela's accusations that Michael stole money from her, Michael's friends not getting along with Angela, and the trust issues they had with each other, the two decided to get married. Unfortunately, Angela's proposal to Michael might have been one of the most awkward proposals in 90 Day Fiancé history. Some might think it's strange that Angela chose to propose to Michael instead of Michael proposing to Angela, but the problem was more with how she chose to pop the question. She pulled out a ring wrapped in a small American flag out of her bra and presented it to Michael. In a confessional afterwards, Michael shouted to the cameras, "USA, here I come." This ignited fan rumors that Michael was only with Angela for a green card. It was an awkward proposal and an awkward engagement. While an engagement should be a happy occasion, Hazel and Tariq's proposal on 90 Day Fiancé was strained. The proposal got off to a weird start when Tariq explained to the cameras that Hazel had told him the night before that her sister made plans for her to marry someone else. Tariq revealed, "It felt like she was pressuring me to propose to her." Apparently what she said worked because Tariq brought an engagement ring on their walk along the beach on the last day of his trip. But the pressure to propose wasn't the only thing strange about this proposal. Before dropping to one knee, Tariq played an original rap song he'd made for Hazel.
What I want to happen is that Hazel thinks that I'm a good rapper.
Though, from her expression, it didn't seem like he was successful. Finally, Tariq pulled out the ring and Hazel surprisingly turned away from Tariq, and she continued to look away during the proposal. It's not clear if she was acting shy, if she was embarrassed, or if she was just interested in something over her shoulder. But her reaction made this already awkward proposal even more awkward. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more list videos about your favorite reality stars are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.